Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for another Witch Times Television with Goddess Rhonda and Goddess Starr. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
Goddess Rhonda, and of course, we have with us, as always, our beautiful Goddess Starr.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. Glad, as always, to be here. And oh my goodness, the rosy cheeks again. Okay.
All righty, so we are blasting through all of our technical issues and we are rolling forward. Hi to everybody in the chat room. It's so good to see everyone as always.
Yeah.
As always, before we begin, we like to cast a circle of protection around us. All hail, our lords and ladies of the East, our brothers and sisters, our brother and patron, the sacred element of air, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is, so mote it be.
Thank you. So it is. All hail, all lords and ladies of the South, my brothers and sisters, my brother and patron, sacred element of fire. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge you, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is, so mote it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the West, our brothers and sisters, our sister and patron, the sacred element of water. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is. So mote it be.
So it is. All hail, our lords and ladies of the North, my brothers and sisters, my sister and patron, the sacred element of earth. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge you, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is. So mote it be. And we now bring down the divine white light from the sacred source of all well being and fill all of our spaces with peace and protection always. So it is, so mote it be. And thank you.
So it is. All right.
All righty. So let's go ahead and get into our show. I must say, Goddess Star, that you were looking particularly witchy this evening.
I know, right? Thank you. It's
I love
cold here. Every time I put on my winter, my cold and kind, the wear that I wear when I'm getting colder. My son pretty much said the same. He goes, "Mom, why are you going special today? Why do you look so dressed up?" I'm like, "It's just my winter gear, like when it starts getting cold, you know." And I have to say, I gotta say this before we begin. That casting circle felt so extra energy and beautifully spiritual just now. It really did.
it.
Anyway,
Does. We do feel, I feel kind of witchy myself today.
I know, right? It's the month that we're in. Look at
It's
the
our
sun.
season.
It's the season of the witches.
And before we actually get into our show, we have an announcement to make regarding our good friend Dorothy Morrison,
Yeah.
who owns Wicked Witch Mojo.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here is a public professional witch trying to make a living, as we all do, using her craft, mind you. And do you know that Turner Broadcasting had the audacity to say that she was, because she calls herself a wicked witch, that no one's allowed to say that but them, because they coined that phrase. Like,
Yeah.
they invented the word wicked and they invented the word witch. Therefore, we are not allowed to use it, which is a whole load of crap.
Yeah.
And we had actually hoped that we could get her on here today, but she did have a request. She said, if you guys, and we have to stand together on this,
Yeah.
gods and goddesses.
We do.
She's one of us, And so we need to stand behind her because she would certainly stand behind us.
Yes.
And so what she's asking is that if you want to help her with the defense, because she's going up against them as the true, strong, powerful, resourceful witch that she is.
Yes.
She's a badass witch. She's
That
badass.
she is.
I
Yes.
actually have her book, Utterly Wicked, and I tried to find it, but I
It's
still have a
so
lot of
awesome. It's
boxes.
such an awesome book. I have it here somewhere too. It's
I
an
do. I
awesome
have it.
book.
I tried to find it, but I have it. I have so many books still packed away. But if you
I
want to
might
help
have it
her
right
to
here.
raise the money to fight this, then please consider purchasing some of her products. She
Items.
makes great candles. She makes oils. She makes all kinds of things. Even I saw she has a new product, a candle called Hate Happening, which is to keep spirits away. I mean, she's really smart and she's funny and she doesn't deserve this. So
Yeah.
if you could look her up, her name is Dorothy Morrison.
Morrison.
As we're
Yeah.
talking, I'm going to find her website to put it in the chat room. But for
Yeah.
those of you who are watching and not in the chat room, it's Dorothy Morrison. You can find her on Facebook, or if you put Wicked Witch Mojo, Dorothy Morrison, her page will come up. And please consider buying some of her products because this is a load of crap. You
Yeah.
know,
And
broadcasting must have like billions, literally
yeah.
billions and billions of dollars. And they're trying to stop some
A
lady
little witch. Yeah.
who's
And
just
it's just
trying to make a
ridiculous.
living.
Well, not only that, it just seems wrong that every time we're a small group compared to them, the rest of them in this
Sure.
country, and every time we have words or whatever it is it's ours. We don't coin a patent in it or anything like that because to us, it belongs to us as witches. And whenever we come up with whatever it is that we say, they're ready to jump on it because that happened to me years ago in the 80s when I coined, love potion. And at the time, I called it number one. This was my first version of it. And then I got a letter, an email from them saying that I'm not allowed to have the words love potion. It was on eBay. They took it down.
Wow.
They took down my on eBay. They took it down. And because it was not my website on eBay, like if I have it on my website, let's see them come. I would love to have them come because I have love potion on my website for years now. But they said that they've patented or copyrighted the word love potion. And they're doing the same thing to her right now with this, you know? And back then I didn't have the weapons that we have now, like the internet or Facebook or whatever, and it's just wrong. And she's amazing, she's very
Yes.
creative. And what I liked was she didn't say I'm gonna do a GoFundMe. She said she would really prefer not to resort to that because that's not her. So she said if people purchase from her, she will use that money and help fight it with them. So that way she's not begging or asking for money just like that. She's doing it for an exchange. So I think that's wonderful and honorable of her.
Agreed. Agreed. And you know what? Quite frankly, I think she should fight back from a spiritual standpoint. If
Yeah.
anyone has the word,
The
the
right.
right to use the word
Yeah.
witch, excuse me, you cannot compromise my spirituality, and I have freedom of religion. So
Yeah.
you can kiss my ass because if anyone is a witch, it's me and not you. In fact, we should
Yeah.
countersue because they are not witches. How dare they
Right.
use our name and use our spirituality?
Yeah. And then turn around and say we're now copywriting it and you're not getting access to it. It's like, there's many of us that use the words love potion, Laurie Cabot, or a whole bunch of people. But imagine if they came after us. They don't do it anymore. But imagine if they did still. Or what other words will they possibly come up and say, well, we have that in our movie, or we have this in our thing, and we're copywriting it. That's like copywriting water. So nobody's allowed to use the word water or blood. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
When will it end?
When will it end? So anyway, we're trying to drum up some support for her. So if you could look up her page and maybe purchase a product from her to help her raise the money because she's just a sole proprietor going up against a huge corporation. She's not backing down.
Yeah. And I don't blame her. I'm all
I
with
don't
her.
blame her either. I wouldn't back down either. But
I met her in person. So did you. Remember at Hex
yes,
Fest? And she is such an amazingly wonderful human being. We even
It
had her on
really
our
is.
show. We had her on our show one of the last year, I believe. We had her on our show, and it was wonderful to have her here. Very, very knowledgeable and well-known woman in the community. So there you go. Let's stand behind her.
Yes, let's. All right. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get started on our show, which our first question is, can hexing someone make matters worse? Now, let me explain why we brought this up. I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
There is a woman who has been a thorn in my side for decades. We do not like each other. We do not pretend to like each other. And she loves getting a rise out of me and doing things that are going to piss me off.
Oh dear.
And she crossed the line because it came down to something with my late father. And I had decided that I was finally sick of her and I was just going to take care of the situation. And then something just wouldn't let me. It's like, what's the problem? I have a right to defend myself, my family, everybody. I have no problem with that. So what's the problem? I'm sick of this chick and she needs to pay. And then it occurred to me, I was like, oh my goodness, this woman who's a straight up sociopath and narcissist. It occurred to me, this woman, she feeds on negative energy. She wants to turn the screws so that she can see you getting angry. She loves that. And so I started thinking, because I do believe, we talk about energy vampires and psychic vampires, but there are species out there that are true vampires, complete with the ability to get other people to like them. And the other people, they come off as completely different. Like they have the power of illusion and charm. And they can do anything they want and get away with it. Whereas if you or I tried to do something and get away, we would be caught within 30 seconds. If I tried tomorrow to go and rob a bank, as soon as I stuck one foot in the door, the security would be all over there. Like, you look like you're going to rob a bank. And, they grab me. But other people, they can just get away with it. Look, he can say anything.
I know. Anything. We're not even going to go there.
And he gets away with it. People will still rally behind him. So it occurs to me that she is one of these otherworldly creatures that really is that kind of a demonic vampire that just wants, I shouldn't say that because not all demons are bad. They're a species like everybody else. So I refuse
They are. That's true.
Well,
and they're not like people think. Anyways, go ahead. You were saying.
Anyway, well, I was about to get on a whole different tangent, but I'll come back to that one later.
I know.
But anyway, something said if I were to hex her, that would actually, because I'm sending all of this angry energy and focused energy on her, that might actually feed her and even make her more, because that's what she wants. That's what she elicits. She wants power, control, and she truly enjoys causing pain. She loves it. It feeds her. So my question to you guys out there is it possible that when you're dealing with this kind of person who is truly a sociopath, narcissist, has the ability to charm? I mean, you would think her friends think she is this huge, spiritual, wonderful woman when Satan himself wouldn't even let her into heaven because she would be too big of a rival. she would try to take hell over. So he was like, no, you're not coming up here. You're not coming up in my house with that. But is it possible, if we are actually dealing with people who truly feed on negative energy, is it possible that by hexing them, that we are actually feeding them and making them stronger? What do you think, Goddess Starr?
I think part of what you're saying, yes. And I think it also depends on who. Because if we're talking about that person that's sitting in the White House at present, there are people that have done stuff or is doing stuff with him, as well as that Kavanaugh person and others. Um, and on that level, no, don't do it. There are other means. Don't do that because there are too many variables involved. It's not that simple. With the young lady that you're speaking about, hexing her is not the way to go. Or but people like her, like you said, they feed on it, and it's more on the demonic side or demonic side, however you want to say the words. But there are other alternatives to it. I would not do a hexing. I would do other things because there are things that you can do that's not a hexing. It's more of a what I call deserving. And I'm not hexing you when I'm standing there. I'm not even saying the spell for that. My simple thing is just do as I say. I'm done. I am so done. I'm not hexing you. I am just done with the situation, and this is what I'm going to do. The final thing, I'm going to end it. You began to fight. I'll just end it and put you down like a little dog that you are. No, I love dogs. No,
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't say
no, no, I'm not
donkeys.
going to say dogs. I'm going to put you down like the hyena that you are. And I'm going to just ring you out and take your hair and let's go. Okay, we're done. You're done with the little shit. Okay? Take away your power. Whatever feeding ground you need, I'm done. I'm taking it from you. Now come get it. Simple. I am not, there are people that you don't hex. Like you said, you go about it in a different manner. And there are things that you can do. And I just don't discuss it because it's kind of like um, we know that we teach many things and we also don't teach everything. And I don't think any teacher teaches everything that
No,
they
not
know.
everything.
Um, and there are certain things that you know and certain things that you do because it's just wrong. And you see it for what it is and you deal. I'm not waiting for judgment from anyone. I will deal whatever I have to deal. I'm sorry. It's just that there are certain things that you do and don't do, and certain lines you cross, and then we don't discuss it anymore. We're not discussing it. There's nothing to discuss. There's nothing, no hexing. You know, I believe in hexing to a certain degree with certain people, and then I just believe in justice.
I like that. I just believe in justice. Well,
Yeah,
I've come up with an alternative plan. I've got some other alternatives
there you go.
compared to what I was going to do. But I have to say, and I will just say this, if you really want to get back at someone like this, one of the best ways you can do is to completely ignore them and cut them off, starve them from your energy. Of course, there's other things that I plan on taking care
There
of,
you go. There you go.
but I know because she's dying to get a response from me, she's not going to get it. She'll get
Yeah,
it in
on
a
the
different
surface, you
way.
know what it
She'll
is? I think what it is that on the surface, you have to appear like you're ignoring them. While on the other hand, it's the illusion. On this hand, I'm ignoring your ass, while the other hand is down here giving it to you. It's simple. We're done. I'm done with there's no hexing. I'm just nixing your
it's
ass. That's
just
all.
mixing. There you go. I
Yeah,
like it. Don't
I'm
hex,
nixing your ass.
mix.
I'm not hexing your ass. When I have to go beyond hexing, then you know your ass is grass. And if I'm ignoring you, even be aware that that grass is going to burn. Not having it.
Right, not having it. And we would love to hear from, of course, everyone in the chat room about that because it is something, we can be as witches. We defend ourselves. We have every right
Yep,
to
we do.
defend ourselves, our
I
family, our
believe in that
in-laws.
entirely. And I don't
We
believe
do.
in always waiting for the proper channels with defense with justice because they don't wield it the way that we do and they don't see it from our point of view. When you're not when you're hexing, you're coming from an emotional point of view. When you're doing it the other way that I'm talking about, there are no emotions involved. This is not personal. This is just what I have to do. I have to wield it the way it is. It's just the way it is. And
Exactly.
you know what I mean? You're kind of like dealing the hand that they've been giving you, kind of a thing.
Exactly. And especially when you recognize that these are people that do feed on negative energy. They love it. It feeds them. It makes them happy to see you pissed off. I refuse to give her that privilege or that energy. She's not getting it. Not in that way. She'll get my response through the ethers. She's not going to get it directly from me. So
there you go.
but I do think it is important for us as witches to really consider the person that you are considering going after retribution from. You know, it needs to be, you have to really think about that person, who they are, what their personality is. But if you're angry and you're sending them angry, nasty energy, is that just to them a buffet
That's what I mean.
for them
Exactly.
to eat and enjoy? You know, you could be sending all this, you know, it takes a lot of energy to hex somebody. And
It
here
does.
you are sending it to them thinking you're harming them. And they're just eating it up like ice cream, saying, yeah, can I have seconds, please? Have some more? This is really
And you
good.
see, and the other thing is that there's that part of it with the hexing part, where you said it's like they're taking that energy and feeding on it. But also a lot of them, like that person that you're talking about, they they know that a lot of witches still have that Christianity delved in deep down into their core of turn the other cheek and
Yeah,
all
no.
those things. They do. And we all taking the high road or the whatever you want to call it. I am not taking any particular road other than I will let you think this is what I'm doing. And you will deal with that illusion in whatever way you get. And whatever I do on the other end is karmic justice. And I'm smiling as I do it too.
Exactly. Exactly. You really, I think a lot of us, we may not actually really think about the person that we're dealing with. Don't forget, you're not always just dealing with humans, okay? There are, as witches we know, there are other beings out there in human skin that are not,
And they show you that only.
you know, they've got the facade happening. But if you realize, you know what, something's wrong with this person, they're doing all these things, they get away with everything. Look at when we hear about serial killers getting caught like 150 years later, you know, they got away with it for all of this time. There is a reason that they were able to fool so many people. And when they interview their neighbors, no one ever says, "Oh, that person was just horrible. They were mean and nasty. I knew there was something wrong." Everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they're the pillar of the community. They're a part of this and they're a part of that, and they're on the board of this, they're on the board of that, and they help everybody out. They fix everybody's
I would
car."
never have guessed.
I would never guess. I was watching, as usual. Rhonda watches her Discovery ID shows, you know, and I should not be watching them. But they were talking
You're
about this.
addicted. Just admit it. You're addicted.
I'm addicted. I'm an addict. I admit it. I am a Discovery ID addict. I fight
There
it.
you
I
go.
try. It doesn't work. But I'm watching this show about this guy who was in operation for like 15 years, and they figured out going when they finally caught him. I can't remember how they caught when he started. There was no DNA, and then after a while, you know, we had DNA, and they figured out who he was, and
Damn, that's
they
old.
figured he had attacked over 70 women in the course of 15 years. And all of his neighbors said, oh, he was the go-to guy. If your car broke down, he would come and fix it for you. If you needed
Yeah.
help, he was over there mowing your lawn or doing what he had this whole setup and got away with it. And I do believe that these people, and I don't know, I'm not even quite sure what species to call them because I know that they're not human. They managed to get away with everything. And when they finally get caught, nobody believes it. It's like, there's no way. No way. Wasn't that? There's no way. Couldn't be that guy. He's the sweetest person in the entire world. And they will get away with it forever. Not for nothing. You know, I was extremely hurt about Bill Cosby because I grew up watching Bill Cosby and to
Yeah,
find
me
out
too. Me too.
a serial rapist. But the point that I'm making is, what is he, like 81 before he finally got caught? He got away with it and lived as a billionaire in the lap of luxury for how long? And now he's just going to go to jail for 3 years after assaulting all these women. At 80, he's lived in, you know, if he would have dropped dead tomorrow, he has lived a long life as a billionaire in the lap of luxury, being catered to, having all this fame and fortune, everybody calling him America's dad. And behind the scenes, he's a freaking serial rapist. He got away with it and projected an energy that caused an illusion that stopped everyone from seeing who he truly was. These are not humans. They're not. That they can just get away. They're evil incarnate walking around. And somehow they have this gift, like vampires do, of charming you and causing an illusion or causing a glamour to get you to trust them.
And if you notice, it's only when they age that you see this, the facade kind of fades. And I always think that it has to do with their aging. As they get older, the facade drops or something like that, you
And
know?
probably because their power to keep the shield up just gets weaker.
Yeah.
But the point is, so when he goes to jail for 3 years, I mean, I'm glad he's going to jail for some time. This man has lived how long as a billionaire? With everything, and he has everything he could possibly ask for all these years and got away with it. And that is such the case when you watch these shows and they're like, oh, it took 10 years or 20 years to resolve this case. And well, we finally got the person, but it's 30 years later or 40 years later, and the guy's like 90 years old and in a wheelchair. It's like, who cares? Now he's going to drop dead any second. The point is, these people have the power to put on a glamour that tricks so many people. A few of us can see through it, but no one believes us when we try to tell us, like, oh, no way, no way, no way. No, that's not person. And so I do think it's important, even before you hex somebody, is to establish, are they human? And what other techniques do you need to do to get them? My personal idea is, if you see somebody like that and you want to get them back because they did something to you, I say ground out their power and remove the illusion.
Yep.
Rip the veil away.
The mask. Remove
the mask. I think that is the worst thing you could do to them, because if you're sending them anger and pain and frustration, which we do, and even if we're not hexing someone, because my sister knows who this person is, and we were talking about it, and we were both so angry with her. And my sister, who's a born-again Christian, she's like, it's almost like my mind's possessed by a demon. I can't get her out of my head, and I'm so angry. And I'm like, you know what? And as we sit here vibrating with anger, we are feeding this woman. And I'm not going to give her that anymore, because that's what she wants. That's what she wants. And so I think it's important for us, before we whip out our dark arts oil and start kicking some ass, is to actually know your enemy. You have to know your enemy and know what it is they're going to respond to. Now, if it's just, the person who you're working with and they're just a pain in the ass and, they're just a regular, just a mean, nasty person, that's a whole different story. But I think that we also do have to recognize, as witches, we work in otherworldly realms, otherworldly energies, and we deal with otherworldly beings that somehow manage to get away. I mean, look at Ted Bundy. He killed like how many women and escaped prison like 3 times. He got out through ways no one else has managed to do. He just like crawled through an air vent or he got away with it. We have to really look at people and say, are they people that we're dealing with? And then handle them accordingly.
Yeah.
And so we also want to pose the question to you in our chat room, if you feel you have ever come up against an otherworldly type of vampire. I'm not talking about a mean receptionist that's on your job that's always got an attitude problem because her husband's out drinking all night. I am talking about a bona fide, nasty, evil person that you can see through, but nobody else sees it. And when you try to tell anyone, they're like, oh, leave that person alone. What's wrong? They might even get defensive and defend that person. So I'm curious to know if you have ever encountered that. And also, because we're at the time, as we go into the time of the dead and the veil becomes really, really thin, I do think that we as witches need to pay attention to the otherworldly people around us. I mean, we talk to spirits all the time, of course. We talk to gods, goddesses, our guides. But there are spirits that want to do you in strolling on earth. And I think we, as witches, we need to pay attention to that. Don't you think so, Goddess Starr?
Absolutely. It's just a case of, again, that whole thing of being when you are a witch, you have to walk the line or the realms of being that you have to be aware at all times. Um, you have to be that person that is basically traveling that lonely, dark road by yourself. So your senses are always up. You're self-aware. And you have your defenses up. You have your armor around you at all times. Um, so that way you can either at least see who they are, so you could try to figure out what next. What can I do to defend myself? What can I do to get myself out of this situation? Things like that. You just have to be very aware.
Very aware. And one thing that we have going for us empaths, which many of us witches are service empaths, where we're trying to help and heal everybody. You do have, and many of us have been taken advantage of, have been taken advantage of by sociopaths and narcissists that come right in and trick us. And what I like to teach is we have something going for us. And that is we have the ability to feel what someone's really feeling, despite what they say. And so I think sometimes we need to step out of our own humanness and stay in our witchiness and really vet the person energetically before we allow them in our life. Ignore their charming words, ignore their glamour, ignore the feeling or connection, and really psychically get into their soul and see who they are before you bother to invite the vampire into your life. I don't think we do enough of that because we are always trying to help. So people can come up to us and say, oh, I need help with this or I need help with that. And our first response is to, okay, we'll help. We're like the ambulance. We're going to rush right in and help without even looking to see anything else. We're just going straight to help out. And I believe that we don't need to do that. We need to actually feel the soul of that person, see what they're really feeling, see if what they're feeling inside matches what they're saying on the outside before you even bother to engage with them. We have that gift. And I think that we as witches, we might not use that gift as much as we need to or as much as we should. Now, of course, we have our own worldly issues that we have to deal with ourselves. We've got, our homes and businesses. And if you have a partner, if you have children, you've got a lot of things to do. So you're not, might not be on that witch plane all the time. Of course not. But if you're bringing someone into your life or you meet someone and they've got this great, Cheshire cat smile on their face and they're so charming and they just know everything what to say, ignore all of it and pull the veil away and feel what it is, who they are. And if you feel like you're too emotionally involved and you can't, then you call me, you call God a Starr, you call one of your witchy friends and say, yo, I just met this person. I can't, I'm too emotionally involved in it. What are you feeling from them? I need to know. Get a backup because we are the ones that they want the most because of our power and the energy that we project. That is the best meal. It's better than a filet mignon and lobster dinner.
Yeah.
To get our energy and siphon it and start getting down on it. Pour some of Goddess Star's hot sauce on our energy and start getting down with the buffet. And so we do need to protect ourselves so that we don't get to the point where we realize, okay, this person has taken a lot of my emotional energy and now I want to just bring the hammer down on them. I think it really is important for us to be, as much as we have to be in the world, I think it's important for us to be the witch all the time, especially when we are bringing people into our space or into our energetic space or offering them our energy to help out. I don't want to give my energy to some sociopath who's just going to enjoy it and do nothing. I want to give it to the person who really needs it. And so I think that's really important too.
And one of the things is I would suggest do not invite them into your home. You got to stop inviting people into your home just like that. You're not that person that's down so like, come on in, darling. No. We don't, I don't know when last I invite people to my home. You don't invite people like that so readily into your space. That's your sacred space. That's where you're the most powerful. So inviting people into that and then you're giving them like basically a space in your sacred space. So they having, and they're able to use that against you, almost like being able to go behind your shield, and you don't want to give them that opportunity.
That's right. So let's take a look in our chat room.
Let's see what they're gonna say in the chat room.
It's actually your turn, Goddess Starr, to go into the chat room and read it.
It is. Oh yeah. Okay. Damn, it's a lot, eh?
Yeah, already they've been getting down here. That's good.
Wait. Okay. All right. Let's see what I've got here. It's not coming up yet. Oh, there we go. Okay. Darn, it's a lot. Oh my goodness. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going from where Goddess Debbie said, okay. Okay. Goddess Judy says, oh sweet goddess, I bathe those types of people in the pink light of love. I also do a quick canvas of their chakra, whatever color comes to me. I bathe them in it because they lack it. And then Goddess Bella says, not letting it get to you and her seeing that will bug her more. Okay, yeah. And then Satsuki, okay, I'm gonna mess that up, Moon. I agree. People like that will take anything they can get. It's better to give encouragement to their enemies or those they have hurt. And then Goddess Bella said, yep, it's all about who, but with her, don't waste your energy. And then Goddess Debbie says, yes, I believe we can be feeding them energy, especially if they live off the negative energy. That's what they want. Don't do anything, just ignore and send love. And then Goddess Janya said, oh, and then Goddess Debbie said, love will protect you. And this Goddess Janya said, I love that, a deserving. And then Goddess Dina said, yes, justice. And then Janya says, I try not to hex. It's a very last resort thing. I believe in the energy coming back, and so most people aren't worth the energy return. I think she meant to say I always say. Okay. And then Goddess Judy said, plus pettiness is a lower level energy. Love always conquers evil. Don't feed the dark, feed the light. And then Goddess Dina said, I was trying to figure out if I should do some hexing, but I'm not sure if I should even give it any more energy or just take the high road. And then Goddess Judy said, to elevate yourself means to rise, going to the dark side. Seems like you go the opposite way. And then Goddess Dina said, I agree. I truly believe that they will bring their own problems without me doing anything. And then Satsuki said, Goddess Starr, you make me laugh. I totally agree with you. We must play the hand we are dealt and deal it back to them while staying on our own private path. Once they deal shit, we gotta cut them
That's
off.
Right.
Yeah. And then Goddess Monica said, crash, boom, bang, thud. I made it. Yes. Oh, okay. I think she's just saying she just got here. Okay. And then Goddess Judy says, don't hex per se, but send them back to the dark. Okay. That's a good one too. And then Goddess Monica said, remove the illusion. That's a good one. And then Goddess Satsuki said, that's such a good idea to rip off their mask, hit their power source. And then Monica says, some folks use the excuse that they are possessed by a demon causing their behavior. That's an excuse to get away with what they've done, in my opinion. And that's a good question she was saying in terms of what you were asking, what should they do? I have been around, she said, Goddess Debbie said, I have been around those kind of vampires that have tried, but no one believed me. Once I was away from them and ignored them, things got better. And then Goddess Judy said, yes, I have, but she presented herself as a friend and wanted me to join a group of friends, 12 of them to be exact. I felt my hair on the back of my neck. I guess she meant to say it
Right.
stand. Judy then said, later I saw menacing faces seeming to fly at me. I surrounded myself in white light, wore white crystals, and told them they weren't welcome and go back from where they came. Very good. And then Satsuki said, there are some people who are not human, true evil in disguise. Like this boy I went to high school with. Everyone loved him, but things came out over the years about his predatory crimes. See, there you go. I think you were sensing it all along. And then Goddess Monica said, yes, vampire energy attached to a human soul, splitting from her husband would have removed a lot of her inclinations. And then Satsuki said, now he's in his 30s and actually went to the local women's march a couple of years ago. The same evil face surrounded by people who know what he's done.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Uh, we find out about people over the time. It
Yes, we
takes years
do.
sometimes. And Goddess, Debbie said, Goddess, how you make me laugh. And then Monica says, or maybe vice versa, vampire feeding was out of control. She thrived at a medical office. I think she's talking about someone that she worked with, maybe at the medical office. And then Debbie says hot sauce that she loves it. And then the last person, Goddess Monica said, they tried to sage smudge the office where we worked. Multiple people had to go home. Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay. It gets to be, sometimes where a lot of things and a lot of people um, are all involved, and sometimes we just have to kind of take it one step at a time with each one. But
Right.
part of it is really being aware, being self-aware at all times, and treat it as if you're being in warrior mode all the time. You have to, when you go, especially an empath. I mean, you guys have to be, we have to be always be in warrior mode, because you leave the house and you've got to have shields up. Everything you do, you have to
Yeah,
have shields up. So you're already in warrior mode. So utilize it to be part of it, to be aware.
absolutely. I totally agree. And before we roll, which is an excellent segue into evil running the world, which I'm convinced of, but before we get into that, I do want to remind everyone I have not seen it yet. And if you guys have seen it, just let me know, good or bad, no spoilers. But
What?
yes, last night was the debut of the new Charmed.
Oh, it was? I didn't know that.
And I wanted to put a step, I took it out because you can watch it online. For those of you who don't have cable, you do
I am
not
going to watch it
need,
online then. I did not know. Okay.
you don't need cable. I will
Okay.
I'll put the link,
Please
I'll put
do.
it so that you guys, because I'm going to watch it myself later on
Okay.
tonight. I didn't get a
I'm going to
chance to
watch it
watch
later on
it,
tonight too. Okay.
but I was wondering if any of you guys have watched it, and we don't
And
want
what are
you to
your
tell
thoughts?
us what happened because we're going to watch it ourselves,
Yes.
but we
Just
want
tell
you
us
to
if you liked
say
it.
thumbs up, thumbs down, because I'm kind of like, I'm almost afraid to watch it because I love the other one so much. I
I know. I know.
was so into the old one that if they screw it up, I'm going
You're going to be so angry.
to be so mad. But, we're going to give them a shot. So tonight, after we finish this show, I'm going to
I'm
settle
glad you
in for
told
a
me. I
little
did not
while.
know.
And
I
I
thought
will,
for a minute there, I thought you were talking about Venom. I'm like, yeah, I saw Venom. Yeah.
I'm going to put as we do our discussion, I'll find it and I will put the website there in our chat room, but I'll also put it in our group because I
Okay.
made sure that, because I know not everybody has cable. Nowadays, you don't even need cable. I'm going to give my cable up because you can watch everything for free online on
I don't. I
their
don't.
websites.
I have not had cable or TV in, I don't know, 20 years. I refuse. I am not paying for something that used to be for free. It all
Yeah,
used to be for free, and and then they blocked it and made me have to pay for it. I am not doing that. I'm sorry.
I'm getting rid of mine. I have
And it's not
Netflix,
cheap either. It's not
everything.
cheap.
No, it's not.
So I'm not doing it ever. I want it free. If it's not free, then I can do without it.
Absolutely. All right. It doesn't look like anybody's watched it yet. So,
Okay, all right. So we're all gonna be watching it tonight. So the next show, let's all
yes,
say yay
we will discuss it. Let's discuss it in our
at the
next show.
next
If it
show.
gets a thumbs
Okay,
up
all right.
or
So
thumbs
that.
down.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's the hint. Homework. We all have homework.
Yes, we all have homework. We have to
We all
watch.
have homework. Watch this show and let's talk about it next Monday.
All right, because that show was just so great, and I'll be very sad if they jack it up. But we're going to give them a chance. I'm going to have an open mind. I already know they've taken creative license and changed some things around. So I'm going to let go of the old, and I will give the new a real.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. No matter what you say, it's going to be hard, but we'll try.
I'm going to try.
I can hear it in your voice. You're verbalizing the words, but I can hear it in your demeanor and the words, and they're like, yeah, but I'm gonna... I can hear it, girl. So don't even go there with me. I can hear it.
I'm already annoyed because they've already changed things, and I'm like, why?
See, I can tell. See.
So, but it's okay. I'm going to
let it go. Let it go.
I'm gonna give it a shot. Maybe have another glass of wine before I watch it, so I'm calm.
Because I can just hear you swearing at it. How dare you!
Because it's just don't jack it up. It's all I'm asking is just don't jack it up, please. Don't take a classic show and jack it up like they always do. So maybe they didn't this time. Maybe it's going to be good, and I'm ready. I'm ready. So when we're all agreeing here, we're making a pact that we are going to watch this show at some point this week, and then we are going to discuss it. I'm going to put the link in the chat room in a few minutes. I'll put it in our Which Times group. If you're not in our Which Times group, please join our Facebook group. We'd love to have you. And if you don't want to join it, just remember, if you go to the CW, if you go to Google and put in the CW, then their shows will come up and you can click on Charmed and you can watch it for free on their station. So that works. All right, so let's go back. Now that we've had that public service announcement, let's go back to our discussion about the evil forces that are pervading the world. I say that with a smile on my face, but we have to really look at these. I mean, again, yes, we do have to keep one foot in this world because we have worldly things to do. But if we really take a look at what's happening in the world, it seems to me that the more evil forces are running things. You notice I tend to say more evil or bad. I don't like to say dark because I have a healthy respect for the dark, because in my mind, the dark is the source of creation.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I think a lot of people are attributing like almost a racism to it. Like
it
the
does.
light is good and the dark is bad. But I just want to tell everybody, every one of us sitting here talking and watching the show, we were all conceived in the dark, as all children are. Plants grow, we plant the seed in the dark. Our riches, our jewels, they come from the dark of the earth. The dark is not a bad place. So don't believe the hype. So I tend to say evil or negative.
Yeah, I like that better. I like that better because black or dark is not bad. It's actually very, very good. That's how you recycle, isn't it? I mean, when you go to sleep at night, you turn the lights off. The only time you can get any rest properly is in the dark. You just can't do it, So there you go.
Sleep, you heal. So the dark is also a healing place. It's not something to
Goddess Debbie said, I don't want to know what my folks did. Girl, you were born, so they did something.
It is already apparent what they did. Like it or not, nobody wants to think about their parents doing the wild thing, but let's face the facts. Here we are. And the stork did not bring us. We weren't grown in a
all of us.
So let's just, now that we said it, we can put it back to the dark of the recesses of our mind and not think about it anymore.
Yes.
But if you look at what's going on, I was thinking about the war in the Middle East that has literally been going on now forever with no resolution whatsoever, with people fighting and getting killed and all these things. It's war that is just being perpetuated and perpetuated and perpetuated. And with war, of course, comes violence. There comes anger. There comes all kinds of these adverse emotions that are being projected in the world. And the worst part of it is, when what did they used to call them, instigators? Remember when you went to school and there was someone who wanted to instigate a fight between two people? So they might go up to someone and say, "Hey, did you know that so and so said this about you behind your back?" Hmm? They
Oh
said
my
that,
goodness. You just
you
want to
know.
bitch slap them.
And then that person is then going to go and confront the other person. Maybe they said it, maybe they didn't say it, but there was someone who instigated that fight. And so I believe that there are evil forces who instigate, who do something and instigate the fight, and then they sit back
And enjoy it.
and reap the benefits of it. The only people that make money in war are the contractors who make the
The
weapons.
weapons, yep.
The weapons people, do you really think, which is a huge industry, do you
Big
really
time, big
think the
time.
weapons people want to see peace? Of course not. And then we also have the people that get hired to go and rebuild what was destroyed, that they destroyed themselves with bombs. We'll go and we'll bomb a country, and then we go over there, and then we have to rebuild everything to fix what we did. Those people make a lot of money. It's all about government contracts and things like that.
Well,
But
the underlying part of all of that is strictly money.
underlying all of it is strictly money and power.
Yes.
And power. There's a few people that are pressing the strings, and they have no conscience that people are dying, people are starving, cities are being decimated, women and children are being killed or abused or kidnapped and all those things and worse. They don't care. They'll just look at that and go have a nice dinner and go to bed and not even think twice about it.
Nope.
Because
Because
they're
there's
not
money.
the ones suffering. They're not over there in these countries with all of these poor little children that are starving or hungry or being forced to fight the war themselves because their fathers have been killed or whatever. So I do believe that these are particularly evil, not necessarily otherworldly evil, but just evil people, and
Yes,
they're
they
running
are.
things.
They are.
They are running things. And so I think I'm wondering, is it up to us as witches to maybe do something to really try to bring peace, to bring peace and healing to the world? Where does our responsibility come in? Because if you look at what's going on, the people that are reaping the money from all of these wars and people dying and children dying and mothers dying and being abused or assaulted or human trafficked, the people who are raking in the money, they're sitting there in their mansions having a nice, they're not even thinking about the devastation that they have instigated and that they are causing. So, as the nurturers and the healers of the spiritual world and the physical world, where does it become, or does it even become, our responsibility to try and counter these evil or negative forces, otherworldly or not, running the world? Personally, I think, because you hear a lot about aliens running things. Maybe they are. I could believe it. You never know who's running things. But all I know is that the people that are running things, they're not starving and they're not having a hard time, as opposed to the people that are subject to these wars. Personally, I don't understand. I'll be honest with you. And, I'm not over in the Middle East. I'm neither Muslim nor Jewish. So I can't identify with what they're fighting over. I can't, because I'm not in their space. However, as a woman, I don't understand why we can't just share the land. I don't understand why we're fighting over a piece of land. That doesn't make any sense to me when there's plenty of land for everyone to live on over there and everybody to get along. I don't understand why it has to be one person's land and not the other person's land when everyone can live on it. What difference does it make? You die, you can't take it with you. So I personally don't understand the war anyway. I don't understand why we're fighting over a piece of land. I really don't understand it, especially if everybody's living on it now. Why can't you put the guns down and just keep living on it and be at peace? That is why women need to run the world. You know why? Because if there was a dispute, we're going to sit down over a nice piece of coffee cake and a cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate, and we're going to discuss it. and say, okay, what can we do to fix this and make sure that the children are cared for and people are cared for and everybody's got food and shelter? How can we work this out? We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. Whereas the men don't seem to have the ability to do that. They don't. They just like, okay, my game, my rules, it's my land, so I'm just going to go and blow you up and that's it. That's why women need to rule the world like we used to. When to rule it, there were no wars. We just everyone, we were all fine, we were all fed, we were all sheltered, we were all nurtured, we were all good. So anyway, I'm getting going off on one of my tangents again. Getting back, where is it or is it our responsibility as spiritual workers to do something to counter the violence that is going on in the world right now? And especially, I'm going to tell you why, especially this is bothering me so much, is because, we have one of our topics is about technology taking, separating us or isolating us. When I was a kid, we were outside in the sun. We were rolling around on the earth. We were racing through the air. We swam. We were out there engaged in the elements, having a great time, working off energy and stress. Kids are no longer out there. You go outside, it's like crickets. It's like, where are the children? Why are there no children outside playing? We rode our bikes, we ran around, we played tag, we played hide and seek. We were out there getting the energy of the elements and working off energy and having a good time. And today's children are watching these horrible, violent video games. I see the commercials for them. It's like, how many people can you kill? And all the war things. And they sit there with these violent video games. They're not getting be fed by the elements. They're not out in the sunshine. They're not laying on the earth looking at the clouds and discussing what pictures the clouds are making. They're not racing around or running, swimming, going to the things, doing the things that we did as kids. We didn't have pools. We had a sprinkler. We'd run through the sprinkler and things like that. We are raising violent children by letting them sit there for God knows how many hours playing these horrible, violent video games and isolating them from other children. And so it's frightening me because are we now raising the people that are going to perpetuate these wars and all of this negative energy and messages that are out there going on? So is it our duty to try to do something to counter it? What do you think, Goddess Starr?
I think it's a bit of, I think yes, but I think it's also, it seems insurmountable or overwhelming because at certain times you feel like you're alone. You're not many of you there to fight to combat this. And then on the other hand, there's a lot of new articles out about the many groups of witches that are coming up and how much it's you know gathering in the United States and around the world. More and more witches are coming out, and all the different things. And maybe that's the reason. Maybe it's part of they coming out because it's necessary at this time to have more and more, because that's what we will need. Because it does feel overwhelming sometimes. Just listening to you talk about it felt overwhelming a bit
Uh,
because there's so much. It's there is so much. You just feel like, where do I even begin? Like, oh, what can I put my finger on first? Because there's so much um, harm, so much dark. Uh, no, not dark, but you know what I mean. So much evil because it's not dark. This is not dark. This is not replenishing or birthing. This is just plain old evil
straight up evil.
that you're sitting there going, how? How could you even think it to be doing it? The human trafficking, the kids, the everything, all of it. It just feels so overwhelming and insurmountable. So yes, I think so, but I think that we do need the numbers. It is not going to be an easy thing because it's in such huge amounts. It's like almost like evil has the upper hand, if
Yes,
I can say.
exactly. It's
It
running the
has the upper
world.
hand, and it's just like watching the world. And when they say the takeover, and like 80% of the world is the evil, and then that 20%, and you're sitting there going, how can I fight back, kind of a thing. It's just, so yeah, I think the rise maybe because part of that, because it's something that we have to come back together. It's not going to be a one group thing or one person thing. It's going to be an all thing, a collective.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the Borg, combine all our energies and become one, and you know, something of the sort, because it's big.
I agree. I was looking at some of the things that we have here in our chat room,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, we've got Goddess Monica who says the dark is associated with a negative charge, while light, the positive charge. When working with electrical energies, maybe that's why we think dark is negative, lack of nuance in knowledge. No, I don't really think so. I think that people have associated it with the actual color,
Yes,
because
it is.
people don't know about electronics and things like that. I read what you just said. Did I know that? Nope, I don't. All I know is I put a battery in something or I plug it in and it works. So most people don't know about the different charges in the spectrum. So
Yeah, but I do agree with Goddess Rhonda. If you, I mean, I don't mean to say it, but it's the truth. If you take any witch, because as a group we think that they're very open-minded, to race and all the different things. And even among witches, you see the racism. You see the black magic, or the light or the white magic. I'm a white witch, or not. I'm not a black witch. I'm not a dark witch. It's associated with racism. It's how they define things. Um, and what people have to realize, magic or energy has no color. It just
exactly,
is. But people have given it different. Like I practice dark witchery, or I practice black witchcraft, or I practice gray witchcraft or white witchcraft. I just practice witchcraft. You know, um, so a lot of it is formed with that connotation, um, of racism. For many years. I mean, I remember when I first came out as a witch. Many years I didn't put my picture up at all. And the minute I did, I lost a lot of people in the group. It's just I really thought witches were a different group of people, but I just realized a long time ago that they're not. A lot of them are extremely racist, and so they define their craft based on race, unfortunately.
unfortunately, and that's very true. And then Goddess Monica goes on to say, it's not new, but being uncovered, the evil has always been. Bring them out, and illumination will show us to fix with balance. I think that's why witches are growing as a group in the USA. We see the energy, and more witches are being challenged to help the energy. Maybe I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that is absolutely right. And then Satsuki and May Moon, and I know you told me what to actually call you, and I forgive me for forgetting.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Satsuki. I
Apologies.
don't mean to barbarize your name. I love your name.
I don't want to mangle it, and I apologize.
Yeah,
The world was violent before mass media and video games, Middle Ages. Yes, that's true. In the Middle Ages, there was a lot of conquests going
yeah,
on. And I'm not saying that, war just started now, but what I will say is this. When I was a kid, we didn't bring guns to school and shoot people. We didn't do that. If we had a beef with another student in the school, we might go out in the field after school and duke it out. And
yep.
then, the worst that would happen is you had a black eye or a busted lip, and the next day you were friends again and it was over. Today's children don't do that. They bring guns to school and start shooting everybody.
And
That is
permanent. There's no friendship the next day. It's
huge.
permanent.
We didn't do that. Not my generation didn't do that, or my sisters. We didn't do that. And most of us, we were out there. First of all, one of the benefits of running and playing outside is children do have a tremendous amount of energy. They've got all kinds of energy. And by running and playing and riding your bike and doing all these things, you expended that energy. So by the time you came home at night, you were ready to eat your dinner, take your bath, and
And
go
go
to
to bed.
bed. And go to bed. But today's children are not expending that energy. And they get angry over things. They're not working it out. They're not running. They're not playing hide and seek. They're not playing handball. We had handball courts. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there focused on these video games of shooting and killing people. And to them, that might be how they decide that's the best way to resolve things. And so they go into their parents' closet and get the guns, and they go to school and start shooting people. I've never, I can't believe every time I look at something, when I see kids have gone to school, whether college or high school, they bring a gun and they just start shooting and there's people dead. We did not do that. And I honestly believe, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a mental health expert, but it would, to me, with logic, you are taking children, you are not giving them the outlet to run off that energy, and you're handing them a game about shooting and killing people. Like, this is how we resolve the issue. This is how we stay on top, is we kill as many people as we can. That, to me, has been a recipe for disaster. Disaster.
Part of the thing is you're forgetting one part to the game. When they play the game and they kill people, then the next time they get back to the game, they start all over again and the person's alive again. The differences are in real life, they die dead. They don't come back.
Right. Once they're gone, it's too late. But I have to say, I'm very concerned with this, because we're seeing these same children now. They're adults, that grew up with these video games, and they're shooting people at work, or they're going to a restaurant and shooting people. They're just out there, shooting people. Like, this is the way you resolve an issue with somebody. And so I'm very concerned about the children and what they're doing and what they're being taught, instead of sending them outside to play. Yeah. I don't understand why children are not outside playing. And I'm tired of people saying, well, the reason people don't let their kids out is because, there's predators out there. When have there not ever been? There's always predators out there. The difference was, in our neighborhood, there were 20 kids playing on the block. A predator would not have stood a chance and going and snatching a kid, because we were all out there. We were all grouped together playing. It wasn't just one of us sitting out there doing nothing. We were all out there. There was a crowd of kids out there. And so by sending those kids, there's power in numbers. Sending those kids out there with 20 kids, 30 kids playing catch or playing handball or playing whatever, a predator's not going to bother trying to snatch a kid, because they'll be seen immediately. They'll be seen, they'll be easily able to be identified. And so I just really am very, very concerned about
Goddess Janya said something that's the truth too. I don't entirely blame the games, because when we were growing up, I remember they used to say that not Bugs Bunny, the one with the Roadrunner, was too violent. And I was like, what was violent about it? It was funny and all of that. We as kids, we knew that they were it's not real, and things like that. But I think, Goddess Janya said something. She says she fought the environments that many of the kids grew up in. And that's true, because if a lot of the parents, what was it? I forgot which, some of the parents were actually taking their kids hunting and teaching their kids how to do these different things. And then they wonder when these kids show up in school with their guns and doing whatever, because they're going hunting at school. A lot of it is not entirely the games, because I don't know. I mean, people had said that, like I said, about the Roadrunner, and I used to watch it. I didn't think anything about it. I didn't go out and was violent,
Not for nothing, but I watched the Roadrunner blow up. The coyote would always end up blowing. There were more. If you remember about the road, let's talk about the Roadrunner for a second. If you remember the Roadrunner never hurt the coyote. The coyote hurt himself by trying to attack. Right. And he got his karma right away. He tried to blow up the Roadrunner. He ended up getting.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was actually almost a lesson in sending out that revenge or trying to take something that doesn't belong with you and getting your karma back, instant karma. So that's not quite the same thing. And even with Bugs Bunny, I loved Bugs Bunny.
Me
You
too.
know,
I
they
rode
did
around
stuff
and say I
too.
loved them.
But the point of the matter is, none of us grew up to go look for dynamite to blow people up. We didn't do any of that because we knew it wasn't real. It wasn't real. And I just feel, and this is just my opinion, that by having these children watching violent video games and not expending that energy is a recipe for disaster. And these are the people that are being trained to resolve issues with guns and killing people that are going to be the next ones taking over our country and our world. And I think that we have to do something because this is a recipe for disaster. And how do we know that those same evil forces that we were talking about, that this wasn't one of their conspiracies to make sure that the evil continues by raising a generation of people that believe in resolving issues with guns and just walking into places and killing everybody? You can't even go comfortably into a restaurant anymore because you don't know if someone's going to come in and start shooting. You don't know what's going to happen.
I do know, I'm not sure what the issues are that's underlying a lot of it, but I do know in this generation, everything is solved by going and shooting up whatever area it is. Everything seems to be solved that way these days. That's all you see. No one resolves issues anymore with talking to one another.
And that's why I would love to go back. If I could turn the clock back, to go back to the 70s where we had the flower children and peace and free love. You know how the flower children got their name, the flower people? Is because they would, if they saw soldiers standing there, they would take flowers and put it in the barrels of their gun as they walked by. That's how they got the name flower children, because it was a time where real people really tried to stop the war and bring peace. Not that it helped very much, but anyway, I am concerned with the upsurge of violent children. I would be scared to death if I had children that were in school. I would be scared to death. My hair would be standing up every time they left the house, wondering if some kid was going to bring a gun to school and if I was going to see my kid again.
Yep, that's the sad part.
I don't know what, I did. It's very frightening. That's why. So that also brings us into the segue about technology separating us or isolating us, because that's what we're now. A lot of children are being homeschooled because their parents don't want their kids, they're scared to death that their kids are going to go to school and not come home. Our parents never worried about that. They knew we were coming home. They didn't worry that someone was going to bring a gun and shoot everybody. And so we have to also take a look at not just the video games, but we're homeschooling. We don't know who our neighbors are anymore. We're dealing with a technological isolation. And very soon, which I truly believe in my heart of hearts, people won't even be going to physical stores anymore because you can do everything online. Then we're going to be even more isolated. And, let's not forget, because Goddess Starr and I have said this a million times with the Uranus and Taurus energies. And, when it happened before, we had the Great Depression and World War III. I can really see that happening. Last week, the stock market plunged a couple of times. We've got banks. Most people, I didn't even know till Goddess Starr hit me to the fact that how many banks aren't FDIC insured. I had to call my bank and make sure that they were.
Yep, a lot of banks are not FDIC
And I
insured.
read that only like 41% of banks are FDIC insured.
So your money can go belly up and you can go bye-bye.
And when you see these stock markets, they're like, oh, it plunged 1,300 points. I don't know much about the stock market. All I know is that people who are in the stock market were panicking their butts off because of that. And so I do think that we can be creating a true recipe for disaster with the continuation of promoting war, raising violent children, and our banks not being insured, And the stock market, the interest rates are rising, and things are starting to take a turn to the left, and it's not really very good. And so, where again, that brings us back to the question, where do we, as the witches, as the spiritualists, as the watchers of the world, what is our responsibility? What do we do to help the situation and counter it? Because I'm looking at it from the big picture of the future. And to me, and I don't mean to be, a doomsday, a Debbie Downer, I'm just very realistic. And I'm seeing what can be happening. And I'm concerned about my nieces and nephews. I worry about them when they go to school. I worry about, going, if I have to go to the bank and someone's going to decide to come in there and shoot everybody in the post office or the bank or whatever. Where do we just sit back and let it happen? Or is it our duty to try to send energy out, even if we just every morning lit an incense or a little tea light candle or made a prayer for peace of the world? What should we be doing as the witches? That's your cue, Goddess Starr. You have to answer me.
Oh my God. Girl, I can't even answer that question, to be honest, because I think there's no one answer to that. There's no set pat answer to any of that. And I think that's the unfortunate thing. There are so many questions, so many, I think reeling from almost like shock value every day, not every week, but every day. Um, and so many things that we are surprised about, and I have no idea. I don't know. And
I don't expect an answer. If we were able to just sit here during this hour and come up with the solutions of the world, we'd all be zillionaires and the world would be at peace and everyone would be happy.
yes,
But
yes,
what we
yes.
are doing is we're opening the conversation. That's where it all begins. Is just opening the conversation and maybe just coming up with ideas or doing little things on our own. Just, when you're doing your offerings to the divine, you can ask for world peace or anything, anything that we can do to
Yeah.
try to help. But it's just mainly, I wanted to open the discussion to help us to think about it because it's not just, I'm not just concerned about me. I'll be okay. I am very concerned about my nieces and nephews and the generations that follow.
The children to come.
It's
It's almost like if you're wondering if there's a their future. Period.
exactly. Adults are going to make their own decisions as they have a right to, but what can we do to maybe turn the tide with these children to try that their future generations try to make things better?
Yeah.
That
Mm.
is the question. And again, I don't expect anyone to have an answer and this is what we need to do or things like that. But it is just something for us, especially if
To
you have
think about.
or grandchildren. I worry about my little my great nieces and nephews that are being born. I'm concerned. And so we're opening the discussion so that maybe you'll go home and you'll think of something. Maybe you'll come up with an idea to save the world. Who knows? We don't know. You might come up with something. Maybe Goddess Starr will come up with something. Maybe I'll come up with something. You just never know. But if we have the discussion,
Yeah. If we're open to it, that's the main thing. We have to be all open to it. And as a collective, see, that's the thing. A lot of people think on their own they're very powerful. Yes, on our own we're all powerful. But imagine what we can be together as a collective.
as a
With one
collective,
mind, one thought of let's protect the children of the future. Let's help make sure that they do have a future that they can say, okay, I'm living worthy. Our grandkids, our great grandkids, whatever it is. I watch my granddaughter. She's 3 years old and she's an amazing little girl taking martial arts, and things like that. And you want to see them do so much in their future.
yes.
You want to see them do things. You want to see them. I want to see her become that big badass warrior at 15 or 20 or whatever, and know that the world is part of her oyster. but we just have to try to at least be open to it and be open to doing something as a collective. And that's something, despite what we think, a lot of witches have a hard time working together. And that's truth. I wish I'm really hoping that we can, as a even every now and then, just kind of even do virtually, maybe, try to see how many people we can get together as a worldwide thing to do a collective of I don't know, virtual prayers for peace of some kind or something. It's a thought. I don't know.
Yeah, well, again, I don't expect us to come up and solve the issues of the world. We just wanted, got a start. I just wanted to open the discussion. So maybe it's something you might go home and talk to your friend about. Maybe they have an idea. Maybe their friend has an idea. You just never know. But I do want to see the focus on the children. Someone in the chat room, let me go back to that because I was looking at that,
We
had
are.
said, Goddess Junior had said, I think the new generation can handle it because ultimately they'll grow up in these environments and it'll be all they know. We just have to protect them and give them the proper tools. And maybe that's good. They're growing up in this. Maybe because this is why this is so alien to me and bothering me, since I did not grow up.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's a generation gap thing, and that happens every time there's a new generation. When we were younger, we were like, "What the hell are you talking about? We're good, We got the Bugs Bunny. We got, you know what I mean? We got the Road Runner. We're good. Nothing's wrong with it." And back then, they used to be saying it's very violent for our kids to be watching this. Remember? So maybe it's a generation thing, and we are seeing it that way because we're now taking the place of our grandparents and when they used to say how violent Roadrunner and stuff was. It's generation gaps happen, and oh my God, we're now in the generation gap.
Oh wow, I feel so. Yeah, it's true. We're
Oh
in the
my God, I
generation
just
gap.
realized what I'm saying. We are in the generation gap.
We are. We're in the generation gap. We're in a
I
space
am
where
not old.
that's how old we are.
Oh my goddess.
And
Yes.
well, because it was different. When I was growing up, our parents policed us. Like they watched what we were watching on TV. I remember when we got when cable HBO first came out, and my parents got HBO, and I wasn't allowed to watch it because they had R-rated movies. My brothers were older than me, so they could get away with it, but I couldn't. And one day, my parents went out, and of course, as soon as they went out, I went and turned on HBO, and I'm sitting there, with my pillow, and they doubled back because that's what they would do. My parents would double back and check to see if we're doing the right thing. My parents doubled back and
Caught your
walked
ass.
on me watching HBO, and then I wasn't allowed to watch TV for like a week because I disobeyed them, and they caught me. But I'm just, and maybe it is because that's the way I was raised. I was raised under parent police state where you just, your parents were all over you. Your parents were not your friends back then. Now they encourage parents to be friends to their kids. Your parents were parents. They were the authority figure of the home. They were the police, the military, all rolled into one, and you did not.
And they knew how to catch you too.
And they knew how to. They just doubled back and caught me right away. That's what I mean. I get caught doing it. I can't do anything wrong. I get caught immediately. But you're right. It's the generation gap, and maybe like they said, maybe these kids will be okay because this is what they know, and this is just so alien to me that I'm just like my hair standing up, and I'm like, why are they doing this and why are they doing that? But maybe they will be okay. But I
I
have to
think,
say,
yeah.
though, with that, though, we do have to admit that our generation did not bring guns to school and shoot people.
Well, yeah, each generation changes and adapts to based on what they're seeing and what's happening. And yeah, like you said, we went fisticuffs and they go gun to gun.
And they go, and
Um,
I don't know, maybe because I am old. Like you just, thanks for bringing that up, Goddess Starr, letting me know
I
how
didn't
old
think
I
about
am.
it until I was actually saying it, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, we are dating ourselves here, you know. But it's kind of shows because it's like I have a hard time paying for television, and people buy it without a thought, and I'm like, why? It used to be for free, and people are like, what are you talking about? It was never free, and I'm like, yes, it was. It was all free, and then they blocked it, and then they brought it and made it pay. So to me, I have a hard time paying for it, and they think nothing of it. Again, the age thing. Yeah. Okay. I was in the time when it was all free.
It's all good. You know what? It's all good. Like these children, this is what they know, and maybe they'll be okay. But I am still concerned, especially because there are so many of them bringing guns to school. And then the young adults, the ones that grew up with these same things, are bringing guns to their workspaces and killing people. And we didn't do that. So, but this is a new generation. Maybe I need to get with the new program or whatever. I don't know. All I can say is I'm glad that we opened the discussion to really think about the children, because that's really what it's all about, is making sure I want my nieces and nephews and their kids and their kids and their kids to be okay and to flourish and to be safe. I don't want to have to worry that my niece goes to school and some guy gets mad and brings a gun and decides to shoot the class up. That's very frightening to me, because we didn't have to worry about that. That was one thing we didn't have. So if we can maybe keep the discussion going, talk about it with us, talk about it with your friends, encourage them, talk about it with your families, maybe somebody can come up with an idea that will allow technology to continue to evolve without it being detrimental to the children, because it does disturb me, especially that they don't go outside and play. We were exposed to the element of air, the element of fire from the sun, the air from the breeze. We laid on the earth and we looked at the clouds and made pictures out of them and ran. I mean, we were exposed to all of the elements, and those elements fed us and nurtured us and helped us to grow and evolve and contributed to our energy. And it bothers me as a witch that these kids aren't getting, nurtured by the elements either, like we were.
Unfortunately, yeah, you're right.
It's unfortunate,
But
especially
I think it's part of where they are. You know what I mean? When you're in the city, they're not thinking of going on that ground and laying there and not doing anything. They're
no, I
thinking
guess
of the
not.
stinky and the poopy. you know. But
But you
if
know
I'm
what?
out in the middle, in the country, yeah, I'm thinking about that. But it's not in the city.
You know what? But you know what? They might not have been laying on the ground, but they were out there at the basketball court or the
Yeah,
handball court, or they had a piece of chalk and they did hopscotch.
hopscotch. Yeah, see, and you see. Do they?
Well,
Wait a minute. Back up, back up. Do they know what hopscotch is?
probably not.
I said at the same time as you, so I knew what you were talking about when you said piece of chalk and I said hopscotch. Which a lot of people may not even know what they're like. What
They
is
probably, you know what? A
hopscotch?
lot of people probably don't even know what jacks are. Remember jacks?
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Well, they people did that. Well, yeah, probably nobody. God, now I feel like I'm 90. You know what? That's okay, because even if I'm 90, I'm still fly. I might be old, but I'm a fly old person,
There you
so it's
go.
all
There
good.
you go. And we can still play Jackson hopscotch.
Exactly. You're still going to get out there. Actually, I should go outside
And
tomorrow.
play what is that other red light, green light, 1, 2, 3?
Yes, remember that red light, green light, one, two,
That
three.
was I used to hate that one because I'd be like,
Remember that?
I did not get caught. Red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're definitely showing our ages today.
Yeah, I think we've said enough now. I think we said enough. Let's finish up with our chat room comments before we let you guys move on. Let's see. I don't even know. I'm not sure where we even left off. Okay.
You go ahead, girl.
I have to find it. Okay, so we have Goddess Monica says social media and connections through these games actually create human connections. Debbie says, Goddess Debbie, I know from going to the Unitarian Church and our neighbors so far, I have not seen too many young ones like that. Glad to hear that. Goddess Monica says subcultures of hard rock are strong because of the internet and astrology. Two, Goddess Debbie says our neighbors, not pagans, read to their young kids, do not have video games or tech things. They let them play and get dirty. See, I like that.
Mhm.
Let me scroll down a little. Okay, so Goddess Monica says, the evil has always been there. We are just pulling back the curtain. Keep pulling it back and watch it shrivel in the light. I like that. Goddess Junior says, I believe that children are the future. Okay, that's a song. I believe that children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. I agree. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Let's see. Goddess Monica says, right, so you don't know that the negative is a battery thing versus a color thing. No, I don't know much about electronics at all.
Yeah, me either.
I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't know anything about it. I just know to buy a battery, put it in, or plug it in. That's all I know. Goddess Junior says their parent. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I've scrolled. I'm missing something here. Hold on. Okay, so Goddess Monica says parents are encouraging their kids to fight. WTF is wrong with parents too. Exactly. Goddess Debbie says we're being too fair, letting everyone be winners versus okay, you lost. Here's how you deal with that emotion. Yes, you do have to lose some things to learn from them. Goddess Junior says these parents are guiding with ego and pride, not love and compassion. Let's have a bunch of egotistical, narcissistic, and emotionally unstable children. Wow. Goddess Monica says actually they prove that the kids have been in a culture of extreme guns. Guns aren't in the closet in their homes. They're on the kitchen table.
Wow.
Spent at least 1 year being home. I can't even imagine having kids around and having your gun sitting on the.
Nope. Mine was in the closet, and
On
my
the
bullets were separate in a different case and locked up in one part. They were very separate. Always have been.
That's frightening. So Goddess Junior says, I don't fault video games for today's violence. I fault the environment many of these kids grew up in, which can be also true. You know, the environment that you grow up in is what creates you. And then we have who do you love? They grow up too fast. Some parents of the younger children do not discipline their children. My daughter is 11 and still plays with dolls. I love hearing that your kid's still playing, is still a kid.
I love my dolls.
Let's see. Hold on, I scrolled a little too far again. Did I say that one already? No. Okay. So Goddess Junior said it's funny because history repeats itself. If you watch shows like A Different World and they touch on issues with the youth that's still relevant today in 2018, true. Goddess Monica says Coyote blew himself up. Kids didn't strap fireworks to their roller skates. No, we did not. We did not strap fireworks to our roller skates.
Yeah, because we knew that we weren't coming back.
Who do you love says at Monica, the focus is more on acceptance these days. And Debbie says there are some parents who, if they do teach hunting to their kids, they wait till they are old enough, teach it safely, and explain life and death. That's cool. I have no problem with that. Goddess Monica said there's a lot of research on the violent kids. It's not the games. It's a few who were raised in fundamentalist homes. Now that's interesting. I'd like to see actually the research on violent kids. Just because if I understand why they're violent, then we can come up with a counter. You know, we have to understand what the problem is before we can fix it. And so if that's one of the issues, it's something that we definitely need to look into. So thank you for bringing that up, because I probably would not have looked at that. We've got Goddess Junior says most kids know that video games aren't real. Video games, if anything, provide many of these kids comfort and a form of therapy, of escapism. I just, these children, their brains aren't, your brain doesn't finish growing until you're in your 20s, your frontal lobe. I honestly don't think that they're emotionally equipped to be dealing with this kind of stuff, but, I don't know. So I'm not going to just, be all judgmental about it. But from all I can do is look at what's in front of me and put the pieces together. Here they are watching these horrible, violent video games, and now people are bringing guns to school and killing the children, or bringing guns to work and killing the workers. We didn't do that, so I have no one else to blame but the video games and not playing outside. All I can do is look at the childhood I grew up with and look at these kids and make the comparison and come to some sort of logic.
Right. But don't forget, some of the ones that are happening with the shootings are adults who are older too. I forgot whichever one, that last one in Vegas. That was an older gentleman too, wasn't it?
I don't know. How old was he?
I don't know. I think he was in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah, but the 30s and the 40-year-olds grew up with video games. We didn't. We're 20
Uh,
years older than them.
well, we had Pac-Man, didn't we? Oh my God.
Yes, we had Pac-Man. Remember Pac-Man and Lady Pac-Man? We had like really like G-rated. What was the other one? The Mario
There
Brothers
was
or
yeah, the Mario Brothers. They were, oh my
Mario
goodness.
Brothers. We had ping pong, this ball that went
We
back
had
and forth.
George with Savage, like the Savage game that was there too. Um, that's why that movie came out with Dwayne Johnson called Savage.
I didn't see
Rampage, not Savage. Rampage is what I meant to say. Sorry, Rampage.
I didn't see that one either. But the 30-year-olds are all grew up with the video games. We didn't. So they're still under that generation. Uh,
Okay, right. Okay.
I mean, the
So
video
wait a minute. Wait a minute. The 40-year-olds and up is in that generation too.
the 40-year-olds and under, I would say that they are.
Okay.
I would say
I
because
don't
my
know.
sister
I
is
think that man was in his early 40s, like 42, 43, that around that, whatever, the one in Vegas.
well, he might just have been insane too. Obviously, and that's another thing. I think that children with normal and who are healthy, mentally healthy, then maybe they can look at this and say, oh, it's just a game. But not every child is mentally healthy enough to be exposed to this.
Yeah.
So maybe then I'm glad you said that. Then maybe the start needs to be is for the parents to figure out, are their kids emotionally and mentally mature enough and healthy enough to be exposed to these kinds of games? Because you could be, there are children with mental challenges and emotional challenges. And so if you haven't made sure, we want to provide every children with what it is that's going to support them and help them to flourish and grow. And if you have a child that you're not paying attention to that has exhibited some issues, and you haven't done anything about it, and you're handing him this game, that's not a good. And I remember distinctly there was one, this was a while ago, and I don't remember. I think it might have been one of the guys that was with Columbine. Remember Columbine? It was a
Yeah.
long time ago. And I remember they were talking about one of those kids Lissy started walking around in camouflage clothes and listening to really violent music. I mean, he was showing signs of something wrong. And his parents said, oh, they thought it was just a phase. If you see your kids are changing their clothes and are acting strange or something's wrong, then don't just say, oh, they're just being teenagers or, oh, it's just a phase. Go check it out. Because, as many of the people here pointed out, today's kids they're raised with it, they'll be fine. Not every kid watches these video games. For the one kid that watches the video games and shoots people up, there's a trillion other kids that don't. But still, we have to be aware of where our kids are emotionally and mentally so that we can know what games to get them or what games they need to stay away from. Because if you're dealing with a child who has a penchant for violence or has something going on, an emotional challenge or a chemical imbalance, because a lot of emotional challenges are based on chemical imbalances, it's just like giving anybody a loaded gun. And so I do think maybe that could be the start, is to make sure that the kids that we're exposing to this are healthy enough to be exposed to it without taking that information and then, using it to become violent offenders as,
As they
old
get older. Right.
adults.
But you also have to take into consideration the kids that, for instance, that all these kids that went through the different high schools that were shot up, a lot of them now have PTSD and other forms of things that can become issues later on because of it, because they were exposed to shootings that they were involved with, or they witnessed their friends got killed, or their brother got killed, or their sister got killed. All of that is now they have PTSD. Now they have things that they developed because of those situations. You know, life is a can be a mental screw up or fuck up, as people would say. based on the situations that you've been in. Either it makes you stronger, or it can make you become the very thing that made you the way you are.
Mhm. I agree. And I think like this whole thing began with like that Columbine shooting.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was that was 20 years ago.
Wow. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago because yeah, yeah. I remember um actually with Columbine, the reason I'm saying about it now, and I'm glad that you brought that up, is because I remember the Buffy the Vampire Slayer show. They had done a show based on something like that. And for a while, they thought they would not show it because it was so close to around the time that Columbine happened. They did not initiate it. That show was already going to be. It was already made before that happened, but Columbine happened, and they ended up doing it anyways. And I thought it was a very great show because it showed it took it very seriously, and it showed the emotional state of a lot of different people from different angles
Mhm.
and how Buffy handled it. I have to go back and watch that because it was really, really good, and letting people know that just because you feel alone in there, that no one's still going through the same things you are, does not mean that that's true, and that we're all going through different things. So taking it out on people around you is not necessarily the best way to go, but it's what happened. Um, but
Also, if you think like you just mentioned, one of the people was that the Vegas person was in their 40s or their early 40s or whatever. One of the shooters, because I'm just looking at it, he was born in 81. So 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 2020 would be in about 40-ish. So that is still a part of that generation.
okay, all right. It's just that it's so hard to think of a 40 something year old not being, I mean, you know what I mean? We're just like 10 years older, it's like, but I guess 10 years is a huge thing. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So anyway, on that cheerful note, because I just realized that we have just, I know it's 11:30 where a lot of people are right now.
Yes, yes, yes. We're out to getting out of here.
Go ahead and let you guys have a break and go. So we're going to let you guys um, go with that. But I would love if we could just keep the conversation going. And I think we did come actually, by talking, actually start thinking about, well, maybe the issue is to watch the children who we're exposing it to. Because like they have, like Goddess Monica and Junia and other people have pointed out, not everybody who watches video games goes out to shoot people.
Yeah.
We are focused on the one person who does it, but there's also billions of more who watch them and they're just fine. So maybe the issue isn't so much of the violent video games, but actually really monitoring the children before we let them have one to make sure that they're emotionally equipped to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So we did come up with something. I'm proud of us.
Yeah. Now there's a lot, and it's actually, you know what? If nothing else, the show opened us up to a lot of thoughts. We can all think about things and maybe come up with solutions or parts of solutions, and just opening our minds to thinking about things and what's going on. So,
Absolutely. All righty. Well, with that said, as always, we love you guys to pieces.
yes, yes. And I appreciate you
I know
guys
you
so
guys
much.
need some rest so that you can get up in the morning and face the day. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for
Always being here. Yes.
all of your comments, especially those of you who are in the younger generation who can explain better to me about video games than
Yeah.
I know about because
And
I've
we
got
loved, oh, and just so you guys know, we really, really appreciated your input because your input, you see, you coming from different perspectives. We're talking from our era and you're talking from your era. So it helps us
helps a
to know.
lot.
And oh, and yes, God, as Debbie said, and watch Charmed. And yes, our homework is
Yes,
to watch.
everybody, our homework is I'm about to refill my wine glass here.
Yes, I'm going to go do that and I'm going to watch it.
And I'm very excited. So before we leave, let me put that in the chat room because the chat room will cut me off. Bear
Yes,
with
that's true. Yes.
one moment.
Yeah, the
Um,
chat room would cut us off in a heartbeat.
and then you won't know what the link is. So let me just give you the link really quick. You can just watch it for free.
When is the next show? What date is the next show?
It comes on every Sunday. So it's just started
I think
yesterday.
there's 2 episodes, right?
No, it says it's the pilot. So it's
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right. Ooh, I always love the pilot ones because it always kind of gives you like the big hour and a half, 2 hours of like.
shift. See if I did that right.
And
Okay, there it is. So there you have. I just posted in the
all
chat
right,
so that you can quickly copy and paste that, and I will also put it in our group as well. 99.9% uptime on streaming websites worldwide. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what just happened there. But anyway,
okay, it doesn't. We'll be fine.
Let's all go and watch it. Let's all get our wine together and go watch it and chill out. And we will meet back here
Next Monday.
so that we can make our comparisons and give it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. We're going to do our review on
Yes.
Charmed. And by then, we'll be able to actually have watched 2 shows because we have yesterday's show and we'll have next Sunday's show. So we'll have 2 shows.
There you go. All right. We're going to be done.
We're going to do a review of Charmed. That'll be fun.
All right.
All right, everyone. We love you, and we will see you next week. Merry meet.
Merry part, and merry meet again. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Love you guys.
Love you.